Hello dear students, Prelims 2025 is right around the corner, and every time before every prelims, we teachers constantly ask students to practice previous year questions. Now a lot of times what happens is students take up the previous year questions, and I have actually seen students mugging up answers of previous year questions. But is that how you actually use your previous year questions? Not really. What I'm going to do today is to give you a quick glance into doing your previous year questions in the PEP way. Now, when I'm saying the PEP way, PEP is our flagship program exclusively modeled for your prelims success. For your now in this case, it would be for your prelims 2025 exam that's coming up. So how do you do these question papers based in the PEP way? And I'll show you this and keep clear attention for the next coming 10 minutes, because now what I'm going to show you is a 2024 UPSC question from the subject environment. The question reads as, the Environmental Protection Agency, according to it, which of the following is the largest source of sulfur dioxide emissions? Now, it's not a random question. They have given 4 options, and for those who had written 2024 exam, some of them would have felt, why is this even asked? Okay. Now, this is where I'll take you into a little bit of flashback. This question was asked in 2024. In 2023 of the PEP program, or the last year's PEP program that we had conducted, this was a slide that I had taken in class. In this particular slide, we were discussing that India is still the world's highest sulfur dioxide producer. And what have we discussed over here? Underneath, we've discussed what makes India the world's highest sulfur dioxide producer, which industry in India is the reason why it is a major, a reason why it contributes so much to sulfur dioxide production, etc. And those who had attended this class were very quick enough to find out the answer to this question. Now, I'm not going to say the answer to the question, that is up to you to find it. But what exactly am I trying to show you over here? When teachers ask students to learn previous year questions, now this is a 2024 question, and according to you, this is a previous year question. What is your takeaway from there? The first step is, I look at the question, I understand that, oh, sulfur dioxide is an important area that UPSC is asking about. And why is sulfur dioxide asked? We have in environment a topic called as biogeochemical cycles. Under biogeochemical cycles, we learn about sulfur cycle. We learn about nitrogen cycle, we learn about sulfur cycle, we learn about carbon, oxygen and water cycles, and even phosphorus cycles. Now, this is the topic that you had to know. But knowing that topic, will it equip you for this? No. Once you know a certain topic, what you try to do is, you try to look at a previous year question related to it. And when you look at a previous year question, you will realize that, okay, so I have learned sulfur cycle, but UPSC is asking specifically about the different kinds of emissions that are coming from sulfur. So what do? You do go and find out the relevant current affairs related to it. And once you find out the relevant current affairs, you jot that down into your current affairs notebook and you keep revising, and that is what helps you to solve this question. But my point is, isn't this actually too much of work for you? Look at this now. UPSC has asked sulfur dioxide in 2024. The reason why they have asked sulfur dioxide is because sulfur is something that we learn. And on top of it, there was a current affair related to India being the world's highest sulfur dioxide producer. Do you think a normal aspirant can connect all of these things? And maybe figure out, yeah, okay, this is the reason why sulfur is important. Better yet, now this is 2024, it's a thing of the past. If based on this past year question paper, can I maybe predict a question that is coming in 2025? Yes, I can. And that is where right now, those who watched the video till here is a 2-marker for your 2025 exam, where this particular cycle that I have drawn over here, which is your methane cycle. Methane cycle is something that is as a predicted question for your 2025. What is the methane cycle? Which are the major emitters of methane in the atmosphere? What is India's situation with respect to giving out the methane emissions? Look at all the kinds of questions that can be asked. So I'll just sum it up for you. What I have done over here is, I've taken a previous year question. From the previous year question, I have understood which is the relevant area which is important, which is your sulfur cycle. So that marks the first thing. The second thing is, I have found out the answer for this question, because once I know sulfur cycle and I know the current affair related to it, obviously I'll get the answer to this question. So I know what is the relevant topic, I know the answer to this PYQ, and I also now know what is the possible question for your next prelims. 3 major information can be collected from a single PYQ. Okay. Now, let me cement that thought once again. Let's look at another PYQ. This was again asked in 2024. The question was about the organisms like cicada, frog hopper, and pond skater. What are these? Are they birds, fish, insects, reptiles? This is the option. Now, I'll just share a small side anecdote related to this. Very coincidentally, in last year's PEP class, when I was teaching the national parks and I had talked about Silent Valley National Park, at this point, I had introduced my students to an insect called as cicada. The reason why Silent Valley is so silent, and this was something, it was a line that was mentioned in the class, the Silent Valley is so silent because it does have no cicadas. And I told them that this is an insect. So those who had sat for the class easily marked it as insects. But now for those who did not attend, what is your takeaway from this question? You read the question, you see 3 different kinds of organisms. So are you going to go into the life history of all of it? Not necessarily. You understand that UPSC has a habit of asking these kind of terms that we might consider as, it may be in the news for some reason. So you may go and find out what a cicada is, what kind of insect a frog hopper is, what kind of insect a pond skater is. So all of this content you get from this question. With the content, you are able to find the answer to the question. And once the answer is found out, it doesn't end over there. Can you predict a 2025 question based on this? Now I can, and I have done this. So again, those who have watched the video till this mark are going to get the next question that can be asked maybe for Prelims 2025, which is about something called as a hornet. Now what is a hornet? Hornet is also an insect, and there have been detailed articles about hornets in your newspapers. So yes, they could ask a question on putting this hornet, maybe talk about a little bit about the hornet and what is its nature, etc. Hornet is actually a kind of wasp. They could ask a question about wasp versus bee. Now tell me, do you think you can collect all of this information? And do you even think your information would be collected in a targeted manner? No. And this is where we are here for you, and I specifically, when it comes to my subject, can help you out with understanding what kind of questions can be asked from Prelims 2025. Now, the last thing I want to show you is this. This is a favorite question of mine from 2024, primarily because a large majority of my students happen to get this question right. Why? Because look at this. This question primarily talks about lions, and it's not any question about a lion. They've asked about the breeding season of the lion. They've asked about the roar of the cheetah, and they've asked about the territory of a lion. It's a very detailed question on the habits of a lion. Now, you must be wondering, how would I even know I have to study such depth into the details? And this is where, now this is a 2024 question. Let me show you, in 2020, they've asked a very similar lined question on elephants. They've asked about the leader of the elephant. They've asked about the gestation period of the elephant. They've asked about the calving age. They've asked about the population. From this 2020 question, what is your takeaway? Some species, UPSC is a little bit more considerate about it. UPSC is a little bit more compassionate, so much so that they go into every small detail about it. What does the elephant eat? Where does it live? What is its nature? What is its gestation period? How many kids are born? All of these information need to be looked. Now, my question is, how would you know that in 2024, you had to know lions in such detail? And this is where your questions and your topic related to International Big Cat Alliance was there in your current affairs. Once when I saw this International Big Cat Alliance and India going to set up this International Big Cat Alliance, I knew for a fact that the big cats of India are going to or have to be learned in detail. And this is the reason why in the PEP classes, we had studied in detail about the different kinds of wild cats. Now, just for those who are not there, so when I'm saying wild cats of India, you have the Bengal tiger, the Asiatic lion, the leopard, the snow leopard, the fishing cat, the clouded leopard, jungle cat, Eurasian lynx, golden cat, rusty spotted cat, leopard cat, caracal, marble cat, and the Pallas cat. Look at all the wild cats in India. Now, out of this, can you study all of their gestation and everything in detail? No. Again, in this list, I look at the ones which are either critically endangered, or vulnerable. And those species, I teach the students in ultimate detail. And that equips you to maybe solve a question like the 2024 question. So what has happened over here? What I've done is, I've taken the 2020 PYQ and I understand that UPSC has a certain, soft corner for asking certain species in such detail. And I look at the 2020 papers and I understand that then also elephants was also asked because of different several current affairs. So on the same lines, I look at the different current affairs that are there in 2023 and I find out that India is part of the Big Cat Alliance. And thus making lions, leopards, snow leopards and clouded leopards very important. So then what do? We go into the ultimate details of its life cycle and thus a question like this gets solved. What I've managed to tell you right now is, now I have a clue, I have a question for you. If this is the case, can you guys predict what is the 2025 question that can come from this area? So I know which is a 2025 question. I'll tell you it's related to one of the species that are there in this lower end. Okay. Now I'm putting that as a question to you. Why? Because I want you to understand when I'm telling you, you have to analyze questions the PEP way. This is what we do. We take a PYQ. We understand what is the content of it. Once you understand what the content of is, you look at if there is a current affair relevant. That increases the importance of that PYQ. Once I understand that current affair relevance, I create a predicted question from that area. And all of this is shared with you guys. So tell me, in this manner, if we are able to predict almost 55 to 60 questions, isn't that enough for your prelims success? So when I'm saying, let's analyze the question papers in the PEP manner, this is what we do. I hope this has been quite insightful for you guys to actually start working out your previous year questions in this particular manner. Because once you are with us, we do all of this work for you. But if you're choosing to do it yourself, then this is the model in which you have to practice your PYQs. I hope this session was insightful for all of you.